town. We got so many leaving, yeah, chasing their dreams. Say there's nothing here, or so it seems. And they will miss it, someday they'll know. They'll want to return to the town they love so. Our town, our little town. This is our town, our little town. One day it's up, the next day it's down. This is our town, our little town.
Good evening and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include Burgeo Academy hosts the girls' AAA softball provincials, Burgeo celebrates Halloween, visit to the Town Council chambers. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack, and more coming up after this.
Communication is the beginning of understanding, and understanding is the basis for problem solving. USC Canada believes communication should know no borders. A farmer's field in Ethiopia offers innovation for old problems in Nepal. A community seed bank in Bangladesh sparks ideas for one in Mali. All over the developing world, Canadians in global partnership, finding solutions that work.
On Friday, October the 28th, opening ceremonies for the girls' softball tournament took place. Beginning at 8:15 at Burgeo Academy's gym, students and the general public gathered around as Christopher LaFosse welcomed the 7 teams from out of town who will be participating in the AAA girls' softball tournament. These teams were Roncalli Central High School from Port Saunders, E.A. Butler from McKay's, St. Joseph's Academy from Lamoline, M.J. Olds Collegiate from Twillingate, Cape John Collegiate from Lassie, Stella Martyrs from Trepassey, Discovery Collegiate from Bonavista, and of course our own team, the Burgeo Storm. Once the teams were introduced, Burgeo Academy's choir sang "O Canada" and "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Mr. Corey Penny, principal of the school, welcomed all the visiting teams, wished them good luck, and reminded them to have fun. The teams then exited the gym to go to the ball field to begin the tournament. There were 8 teams involved and they were divided into 2 divisions, Division A and Division B. Division A started the games off. Roncalli was victorious in all 3 of their games. J.M. Olds Collegiate won 2 and lost 1. E.A. Butler was defeated in 2 but managed to win 1, while St. Joseph's was unsuccessful in winning any of their games. In Division B, our very own Burgeo Storm were triumphant in all of their games. Stella Martyrs came up with 2 wins and 1 loss. Discovery managed to land 1 game but were unsuccessful in the other 2. And although Cape John gave it their best shot, they were unable to win any of their games. In the semifinals, the top team of Division A, Roncalli, played off against the second place Stella Mars of Division B. The first place team in Division B, Burgeo Storm, went up against J.M. Olds Collegiate, the second place winner of Division A. The 2 winners of the semifinals, Roncalli and Burgeo, then faced each other in the championship game. Even though the Burgeo Storm played extremely well, victory was not to be gotten. Burgeo came away with the silver medal. Roncalli won the game with a score of 11-6 and went on with the gold medal. The St. Joseph's team from Lamoline was awarded the Team Sportsmanship Award. Congratulations go out to all the teams for participating, especially our own team for hosting the event. Special thanks also goes to Jonathan Green for filming some of the highlights for us. Halloween is one of the most celebrated holidays of the year, and this year was no different. Burgeo Academy takes every opportunity to celebrate holidays with their students. Halloween is another of their favorites. The celebrations began with the 2-3 class visiting the Calder Health Care Center to entertain the residents with stories and songs. At recess time, the snack program volunteers surprised the students with veggie and fruit pizza for a special treat. This was very popular among the students, and they seemed to enjoy it very much, coming back again and again for more until it was all gone. In the gym, Enterprise Ed students Gina Billard and Rebecca Young were selling caramel apples for $1. This was a part of their mini venture for the Enterprise Ed class. The apples looked delicious, and the students looked as though they were enjoying the treat. In the afternoon, students from K to 6 played games in their classroom for a little while, and then they paraded to the gym for a dance. There were all kinds of costumes, from the traditional to some very ugly to the very scary.
Brandon's funny.
Kindergarten, that's right.
Happy Halloween.
The best part of the day was still to come, going from door to door collecting treats. Ms. Marlene Vatcher kindly agreed to take our camera to her home to film the trick-or-treaters as they came to her door. We extend sincere thanks to Ms. Marlene Vatcher and Alicia for their kind gesture.
Now camera, smile. Happy Halloween. All right, happy Halloween. Smile, you're on camera. Say happy Halloween to everybody in Burgeo. There you go. You want to tell them your name? Tell them your name is Zachary. There you go. Wave to the camera. Happy Halloween, sweetheart. You have a good day. Go ahead, Alicia. second. How are you? Rain? 4 last year. Is she in your class? Come here. Nope. 1 second. Where's the door? Here you go. Happy Halloween. Thank you. You're welcome. Hi, happy Halloween. Just 1 second. You want to hold the door? There you go. He's wishing you a happy Halloween too. Here's your Buster. Buster, here you go. Put that in your bag. Here you go. Happy Halloween. You want to hold the door? Is that you, Josh? Yeah. You're very ugly. Let's see. Did you see your mask? Happy Halloween.
Oh, what
You're very welcome. Creepy, isn't it? See you. Have a good evening. That's a scare. Who's that? I don't know. 1 second. You want to get the door? There you go. I'm not sure who that is. Thank you. You're welcome.
On Wednesday of this week, we were invited to the Town Council chambers by our new mayor, Mr. George Reed.
Everyone, and I want to take this opportunity, Reed, to introduce the council members for the next 4 years, or however long they want to serve in that 4-year period, I guess. And I might add a few words up front that the council in Burgeo this year were composed of 7 people, which is the number that council required. Only 7 people offered themselves for election. So therefore, since there was no more than 7, that means there was not a public election. Everyone was automatically on council. Nevertheless, of course, that constitutes a legitimate council that have to abide by all the municipalities act and laws within the municipality. So hopefully for the next 4 years, this council will do everything we can to run Burgeo in half decent order, whatever we can do. So starting with my extreme right up here, on the folks over, let's stand on the junior. And next to him is Councillor Dayton McDonald. He's the deputy mayor. And next is Councillor Gerald McDonald. Gerald, of course, is a whole end council. He was at one time the mayor of Burgeo. And myself, of course, George Reed, and I'm the mayor for this term of office. On my left is Councillor June Iscott.
June, can you just, there you go.
And next to her is Councillor Cyril Warren. And missing, because gone to work, I think he's working out of town, is Councillor Rupert Strickland Jr. Now, 4 of us, Rupert and Dave and Cyril and myself, we've been on there for, I think I've been there for a term and a half. I think Cyril was there for 2 terms, 3 terms, 2. And Rupert was there for involved council, and one Councillor Gerald McDonald. Like I said before, I've been on council before. I just want to say a few words about how we're going to try to run the business of council for the next 4 years. And what I've done is I've divided council, the work of council, into committees. And we have a number of committees, and I want to tell you who's on these committees so that anytime I guess you got a problem relating to that area, then you can probably contact the councillor whose area that falls under. And I'll start off by saying the Finance Committee, myself and Dave McDonald's on the Finance Committee. The Public Relations Committee is Stan Donnelly Jr. and June Escott. And these two councillors will be responsible for the website and the literature that's put out about the town, and of course advertising the town to the general public. The Economic Development Committee is chaired by Councillor Gerald McDonald, and I'm going to be with him. Councillor McDonald has a great interest in, of course, trying to develop the economic development in the town of Burgeo. Of course, we can stand a lot of development there. In the last number of years, we haven't created many jobs in this town, so we have a heavy responsibility there to try to create jobs. Town property is chaired by Rupert Strickland Jr. and Cyril Warren, and they'll be dealing with, of course, the properties of town and trying to keep the properties in town in a decent order, of course. The Building Committee is chaired by Cyril Warren and Stan Donnelly Jr. And we have a committee set up for one particular project, and that project is the marine conservation area, and Councillor June Escott is going to be looking after that project. And of course, the ongoing major problem we got was our water treatment plant, and we have an ad hoc committee set up for that with myself and Dave McDonald, and Mr. Strickland Jr. is going to be on that committee. That's to overlook the water treatment plant, to follow it through, hopefully to its completion. And of course, at the head of the table there, you have your town manager. Whether you can get a shot of him, get him in the camera. And on his shoulders, of course, rests managing the town of Burgeo. And people that you see sitting here, of course, will take all your criticisms and will take all your congratulations, and what we can't take, we'll throw it off to Mr. March on the other end of the table. And of course, we have a whole employee here, Stan Coster, who's doing the paperwork here in the office. So hopefully in the next 4 years that we'll do some of the things that you want done. We'll try our best. Thank you, Marie.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
It takes community to heal a village. In northern Mali, USC Canada works with local partners to find community-based ways to ensure mother-child health, food security, and jobs. Canadian agencies are helping to renew and strengthen communities throughout the developing world. This means greater opportunities for global villagers. Canadians in partnership, finding solutions that work.
The Brunettes are continuing their efforts in supporting the Burgeo Fire Department by hosting a flea market. With the Christmas season just around the corner, the Brunettes are preparing for their annual flea market. This is a great opportunity for you to purchase a gift for someone special or possibly get a chance to get something for that person who may be hard to buy for. The Brunettes will offer a baked goods table so that you can stock up on some wonderful cookies and cakes for Christmas. They will also be selling homemade fries during the event. Last year there were a wide variety of items for sale at the flea market. Some of the tables were selling knitted and crocheted items, plastic canvas decorations, as well as second-hand items. There were also a few individuals from out of town, including a table selling ceramics. There is such a great selection to choose from. Mark your calendar for Sunday, November the 13th, and plan to attend the Burnettes annual flea market. If you haven't started your Christmas shopping, the flea market may be a great time for you to start, and you may get that perfect gift. If you would like to book a table to sell your goods, call Laura at 886-2974 and get involved in this event. On Wednesday of this week, our MHA, Calvin Parsons, dropped by our studio for an interview. We have with us in our studio today our MHA, Calvin Parsons. Welcome, Mr. Parsons.
Great to be here again.
Yes, it's been a while.
Our regular interview.
Yes.
It's been a little while. Had some problems, medical, in my hometown. The lady had a brain tumor, so I've been spending some time actually back at the legal business helping her out in the meantime. So, but things are back on track now. She's doing quite well and things have recovered, so we're getting ready now to go back to the House of Assembly again. So I wanted to make another pilgrimage down here and do a check before I hit it off to St. John's again.
I'm sure that's going to keep you busy for sure.
Looks like there's lots of stuff on the provincial agenda between Habitibi and fisheries issues and so on, and there's lots of stuff on the go.
Okay. We'll just deal with local issues.
Okay.
Nothing too complicated for you then. Yeah. Now the water treatment plant. Now the council has been over the past 5 or 6 months dealing with some legal matters. Didn't know if you had any comments or.
Yes, they have of course engaged legal counsel in St. John's to deal with the issue of the loss as resulting from the fire. I understand the mayor has met as recently as last Friday with the minister in St. John's, Minister Jack Byrne, the Minister of Municipal Affairs. And I understand there was some positive developments in the sense of moving it along. It's not a dead issue, certainly. But once you get involved in these complex issues with lawyers on different sides representing the builders and the engineers and governments and towns, and the lawyers alone, of course, can slow things down quite a bit. But I understand it was a positive meeting, and he's going to be giving council an update tonight at the council meeting. So I think it's probably best if I left it to the mayor, who's been up front with this, to deal with it. But yes, it's ongoing, and it's going to take some time, but at least the progress is still there.
Okay. And having mentioned, now I'm sure you've already met the new council. Have you had opportunity to speak with them?
I haven't spoken with all of them. I wrote all of them, of course, once the election was concluded. It was all by acclamation, actually. They hadn't enough come forward to fill the council seats, and congratulated all of them for getting involved. It's nice to see that you have some new faces. You have a new mayor, and congratulations, by the way, and thanks to Alistair Hand for what he contributed over the years that I've known him as the mayor. He's certainly been, shall we say, the heart that ticks in Burgeo. There's nobody who had more heart and gumption about him than Alistair Hand when it came to representing the town of Burgeo. And he certainly deserves all the kudos and credits in the world for what he did as your mayor. And I'm sure George Reid will bring the same thing to the table. He's a thinker. He don't usually open his mouth unless he knows what he's going to say, and he'll certainly be pushing for the town of Burgeo as well. It's nice to see people like Gerald McDonald back on the scene again. Gerald, heavy involvement in the fishing industry, and I understand he's going to be in charge of some heavy-duty council committees, and look forward to dealing with Gerald on an ongoing basis as well.
Very good. Now this is the season for community enhancement projects. I know there's one that was accepted, or they advertised for workers for the community, not the community center, but the rec center. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and if there's any more projects that we can look forward to?
The community enhancement projects, what happened, that's a fancy name, by the way, that they put on it for Make Work projects.
Yes.
They were always called Make Work projects, and now they call them the community enhancement projects. And basically what it is, it's the provincial government put so much money into each district so that people who didn't have enough time to get their stamps, that you could hopefully get them stamped up. If they get their stamps, of course, instead of being on the provincial payroll then, or provincial coffers when it comes to getting assistance through social assistance and whatever, they would be getting a check from the federal government, which is on the federal payroll. So that's the whole purpose of the program to start with. And every year there's been so much money coming into the district to do that. Now what we try to do is break it up and tie the amount of money to the amount of need in each different community. Some communities have different needs than others, but you try to spread it fairly through your district. The problem is you never get enough money. The amount of money that's been put into this district this year was like $170,000. Now $170,000 in Burgeo spread amongst 10 communities doesn't go very far. When you're looking at places like Burgeo, who don't have a fishery, places like Ollamort where the fish plant was gone, places like Rose Blanche where the fish plant is gone, you know, that hits pretty hard. Burnt Islands this year, for example, in this district, is the first time that the people in Burnt Islands never got their stamps from the fishing industry. You know, there was always some little help that might have been needed, but this year it's a big-time problem. And so here you are, you're getting the same money you've been getting over time, but $170,000, but the need is greater.
Yep.
I think this year, for example, we had a total request from Burgeo District. All the projects that came in from all the communities totaled over $1 million if you were to do them all. So the government gives you $170,000 when you need over $1 million and says, here, go do what you're going to do with it. So obviously you don't satisfy everybody, but in Burgeo there was one approved for the rec center. I believe they're going to put bleachers and so on and improving the rec center, and quite a number of people are going to get picked up on that. It's not enough money. I've already gone back to Jack Byrne. I was in St. John's as well while the mayor was in there, and that's my request to Byrne is we need more money. And other parts of the province, if you look at it, and I'm sure people have heard on the news, like you had the big crab enhancement program. So when the people in the crab industry and in the shellfish industry got in problems up on the northeast coast, the federal government and the provincial government designed a specific program and gave it to the crab fishermen. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but we got people down there on the southwest coast who are in just as much need, and whether you call it by a special fancy name or not, the need is still there, and there's still people who deserve help. So I think they've listened, the provincial government, to the extent that they've sort of taken now some of the money from the crab program, and that's also been put into the community enhancement program. So we're hoping actually that we can get our hands on a bit more money, and that way you can do more projects, and that way you get more people who would be helped in their EI request.
On a more personal note now, like you started off as our MHA and your government was in power. How frustrating is it for you now to sit on the opposite side and you're almost waiting for them to pass you a little money to do what you need to do, and you know it's not even...
It's extremely frustrating because when you were in government, particularly where I was in cabinet, you had direct access to ministers easily to get your point across, and if there was any money there, you stood a fairly good chance of getting your fingers on it. And, you know, we did quite well from 99 to 2003 in terms of projects and so on in the district, water projects, recreation projects, community enhancement type make work projects, you name it. We did quite well. Not being in government is a big factor, but also there's less money being given out. As we all know, it's been a case of cutbacks for the last 2 years in services and cutbacks in the amount of money that anybody's been given anyway from a budget point of view. So it's not only Liberal districts, it's PC districts that are feeling the same brunt that they've been given less money to do things with, but the needs haven't changed. So yeah, that's very frustrating to find yourself in that situation. But notwithstanding that, you've got to keep at it. And there's two ways of doing it, I find. You can either go directly to the ministers and make your case, justify your case, and get the minister's approval, or you can be screaming and bawling all day long on the media. And I find, quite frankly, that some ministers react to that. If there's one thing to criticize, and I have no problem criticizing if it needs to be done, and it ought to be done. I don't have much time for criticizing just for the sake of criticizing, and that to me turns into whining. I would rather go to the minister and say, look, I have a problem in Burgeo. Here's the nature of the problem. Here's the reason I need your help. And I find that when I do that, we've been getting some help. For example, on the fire department piece again, like every year we were getting money for different fire departments in the district. Glenn Hand came to me as the fire chief last spring and said he had a problem, explained the problem. Councils were supportive, went to Jack Byrne, the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and sure enough, once he understood the case, he's made the money available. So it's nice to be able to do that one-on-one. And I think, quite frankly, no matter who is the government, PC or Liberal, if the person who's the minister is level-headed and exercises some common sense, they do treat you fairly because you approach it properly. And that's generally been my style. I'd rather meet somebody face up, tell them what the problem is, and justify why you need what you want.
Well, that is a good thing, and we're glad that you take that policy. Your clinics, you haven't had a clinic for a while?
Actually, we had a couple of last 3 clinics we had down here. I think the last one we had, there was 1 person who actually made an appointment for the clinic. And the 2 before that, we had 2 people. So it's not a case of don't want to do the clinics, they're not available to do the clinics, not at all. It seems like the telephone access that we're getting is solving the problem.
It's working.
In fact, I think we probably now, when we first started out 5-6 years ago, we used to get about 40 calls a day at the office. Over time, a lot of it because you address the issues, of course, there's probably less concerns. And some things now become routine. Somebody wants a certificate, somebody wants advice on student aid, somebody wants advice on EI or Canada Pension Plan. Our staff now, my staff, Joanne Clark, for example, is so much more familiar with doing it that the problems are getting addressed quicker, and you don't need as many phone calls to deal with the issue anymore because we know how to do it better. We've learned in doing the job as well. So that's part of it, is that we're more experienced. But it seems like there are just less phone calls that are coming there. Anybody, of course, who wants to meet with me personally and privately, that's not an issue. That's always been, that's what I like. I like accessibility. People want to see me, not a problem. Just say you want to see me. But it seems like the clinic piece, they're getting their answers through the telephone. And I guess the internet and the telephones are great things, and we've been using full advantage of them. But by all means, and we will continue to have the clinics. We were doing them like once every 2 months, and as I say, there's not much point in doing it if nobody are coming to see you. There's much more important things to be done if that's the case, if the people aren't needing it. But by all means, we will be continuing the clinics and keep the phone calls. Anybody who's got an issue, by all means. The numbers are posted around. Everybody's got them on the Christmas cards I send out. I put it in the Gulf News and the local media. It's here at places like the BBS if anybody wants to call, or call the town council and get my number. It's listed in the phone book and so on. So it's all there, and by all means, keep the calls coming.
Good. This is probably the final note. Now, the Provincial Liberal Leadership Convention is coming up, and they're looking for a new leader. Is Mr. Calvin Parsons interested in that position?
I've had that question asked of me a lot lately since Roger Grimes left, and he did leave rather suddenly.
Yes.
We thought he might be leaving in the fall anyway, but actually when he left back in the spring, it was a bit of a shock to even us. We didn't know until he, out of the blue, told us he was gone. So Jerry stepped in there in the breach. The reason being, I was asked actually to step in as the interim leader, but I had made this commitment to, as I explained, this lady who had brain surgery, so that's the reason I didn't step in as the interim leader. I have been asked by numerous people if I'm considering it. I am considering it. The candidacy opens up in January for nominations for the role. Quite frankly and honestly, I don't know if that's the right move for me personally. I don't know if, again, if I'm going to get involved in something, I like to do it because I can make a contribution. And I don't know if getting involved as leader of the Liberal Party now is going to do much in the way of contribution to the Liberal Party. We're up against a pretty formidable foe, i.e. Danny Williams, and I'm again one who I think is realistic, albeit it's a one-man show, and God forbid if he leaves, I don't think there's anybody else there to carry the day, because it doesn't seem like he has very many people or wants very many people around him. He seems to operate on a one-man show type of basis. But so I got to give that some heavy thought. I haven't ruled it out, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to be a possibility.
Okay. Dare I ask about federal politics? Maybe that may be where you're leaning.
I've always, in fact, my first involvement in politics was back in 1980 when I wanted to be federal politics. I was only 23 at the time. So I've given that some serious thought. There will be a provincial election or a federal election, it looks like, coming up in the spring. I've got to give that some serious thought. There's some technical issues there right now. I don't know what Bill Matthews' plans are, if he plans on sticking around and so on. So all those things that have got to be put into the mix. So I got to do some heavy thinking on that piece. But federally is, I do believe, when you look at the issues, most of our issues that are in the Burgeo-Lapoil issue, but even in the whole of the Southwest Coast and the Burin, the random Burin-St. George's federal riding, they're federal type issues. Like fisheries, for example, being in provincial politics, and I've found that out in the last 5 or 6 years, on the provincial scene, there's not much you can do from a fisheries perspective because you're only into the processing piece.
Right.
And if you're like Burgeo, where we don't have processing, where the need is to get in on the federal level where hopefully something can be done federally. And so that appeals to me because, again, it's frustrating to be on the wrong field. There's no point in being provincial if you need to be federal to get something done from a fishery point of view. Issues like our EI system, like that's a federal type of issue. In the other end, the Burgeo-Lapoil district, for example, Port aux Basques Marine Atlantic is the big thing. Coast Guard facilities and so on. That all comes under federal jurisdiction. The Canada student loan piece, Canada pension plan piece. A lot of the health care that comes into the province, albeit the province gives it out now, the bulk of the money that comes into the province for health care comes from the federal government. And yet, as provincial politicians, you get little say in where it's used and how it's distributed. Where are the seniors' homes going to go to? Where, that kind of thing. Where are we going to provide these health care services? So it's appealing to me from a federal point of view to be federal because you could get your hands into more stuff and probably be more productive if you were fortunate enough to get there. The downsides of getting there, of course, is that it's a massive big district, as Bill Matthews has found out. You got to hopefully be successful in getting elected, so you need a lot of organization to get there. But I certainly have not ruled that out as far as being an option for me.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to have?
Nope. The other option I have, of course, is if that don't work out provincially or federally, I'll end up back practicing law, I guess, with my 2 sons in Port aux Basques, and I've done that for 25 years, so that's not the end of the world either. But right now, I think my obligation, first and foremost, is to look after the people of Burgeo-Lapoil, and I feel a little bit frustrated in that I can't do as much as I'd like in the current circumstances, and I'm one who I think people have found that I like to get my hands into the cookie jars and put things into your district, and that means that I got to go into a different kitchen, i.e. the federal kitchen, to get my hands into different cookie jars. That's what I'm about. I'm not one who said takes no for an answer, and I'm not ready to take no for an answer right yet. There's lots of more that we got to get done.
Well, we certainly thank you for joining us this week for this little conversation. Anytime you're in town, feel free to drop by.
Good to be here.
On Thursday of this week, we were invited to the Foodland for a very special presentation. For the past couple of months, Foodland has been involved in the Foodland Hometown Bingo campaign. For each purchase, shoppers were given a scratch ballot. Approximately 8,500 of these ballots were given out, along with 3,000 bingo cards. It was on one of these bingo cards that Maxine Domine won a 52-inch flat-screen TV valued at $5,200. There were 4 to be won. Only 2 were awarded, one at Nova Scotia and the other at Burgeo Foodland. Congratulations to Maxine Domine. We hope you and your family will enjoy the prize. Now over to Mayor Reid with the council report.
Good evening. I want to take this opportunity to give you the council report from the meeting of Wednesday, November the 2nd, 2005. Before I get into the report, I want to give thanks to the councillors who decided not to come back this year or try their hand at running council. And I want to give congratulations to Councillor Norm Merzen, who spent a number of years on council helping the people of Burgeo. And I also want to give thanks to John Grant. And John spent a number of terms on council. And I'm sure John, you'll probably be seeing John hopefully in the coming future. I hope that John will again run for council. He was a great asset to council in his young age, of course. I hope he'll be back again. And I want to give special thanks, of course, to Mayor Alistair Han, who spent 2 terms working diligently for council. Alistair gave, I think, as much to council as anyone could ever wish for a mayor or any councillor to give to Burgeo. He put his heart and soul into it, and I think you've put Burgeo on the map, that's for sure. Everyone knows where Burgeo is in Newfoundland now. And anywhere you go and you bring up Burgeo, and they'll mention they've heard from Alistair from time to time. So he did Burgeo a great service, and I really can't thank him enough. And on behalf of the people, I would want to make that public. And I also think that Alistair, he'll still have his 2 cents worth on to council, I'm sure, and which we will greatly appreciate. And Alistair is also serving on the secretariat of the provincial government, so you'll have a lot of input there, hopefully, and be an asset for Burgeo in the coming years. So, to these 3 fellows, thank you again for the time served on council. Okay, I'll give a report now on basically what went on at the council meeting. The water treatment plant. Of course, the water treatment plant is an ongoing thing. It should never have been, of course. It should have been finished now, and we should have been enjoying the water, but unfortunate problem we had. Now it's still not near completed, and of course not to be completed in the near future. And this is going to be an ongoing thing, probably for a while yet. The stage that is reached now is that we have a lawyer involved, and a law firm in St. John's involved, that's looking into getting all of the information that we need in order to appraise the project. Because the whole thing, it caught the fire at the water treatment plant. Right now, they're trying to determine what caused the fire. Now, that could have been caused by any number of things, including, of course, probably even the design of it. So our lawyers trying to get all the information from the engineers, from the contractors, and then there's a company that's employed to take all the information and look at it to see whether or not what we had there it was a good project, a good design, and whether or not it has to be changed for the future. So until that study is done, there is nothing we can do with the present building. And so it's going to take a while for that study to be done. I met with the Honorable Jack Burns 3 days ago, and explained to him where we were, and of course he concurred with us that the study has to be done before anything else can be looked at in relationship to getting that water treatment plant finished. The other topic was the community enhancement programs that's set up by the provincial government. We applied to the provincial government for some monies to try to employ and get some projects on the go, but we weren't successful in getting any money from that program. The provincial government, that is the highway department of the provincial government, they're going to put some concrete blocks out by the whole government shed to protect people and cars, of course, from going down in that area there. The town manager got a response from the Parks Division of the provincial government, and they told him that they have a 3-year proposal into the department, and Burgeo Park is included in that 3-year proposal. And what's being proposed is that they would increase the number of campsites at the park, and probably run electricity to each of the campsites, and that should take place in year 1 or year 2 of the proposal. There's another thing in that plan too, and that was to try to preserve the that cemetery up there, because I think that's in fear of being washed away. And so, therefore, they're going to do something about that. We heard from a lion concerning the cell phone coverage on the Burgeo Road. There's no plans to increase the cell phone coverage at this time. We contacted the school to get it involved in the anti-littering campaign, and the school was quite happy to get involved in that, so that'll be ongoing in the future to get a campaign on the go for anti-litter. I think it was sometime last year, we put in a proposal to the provincial government concerning EAT cables to be installed on water lines in Burgeo. That proposal went forward to the provincial government and didn't get anywhere. And this year they wondered if we wanted to continue with that program, bring it back to the table again. But after some discussion, it was decided that we would not go forward with that proposal. There were a number of reasons for it, and but overall is that we didn't think probably it would work, so we decided to drop that program from the request from the provincial government. Another ongoing topic from the last council, and that was concerning driver examination, having a driver examiner come to Burgeo. A letter was written to the Honourable Diane Whelan, and she wrote a letter back saying that in the next budget she would be proposing something along the lines that we suggested, that probably sending out a driver examiner probably once a week or once every 2 weeks. So hopefully that something will take place in relationship to that during the next provincial budget. Mayor Han, before he left council, wrote a letter to Honourable Jeff Regan concerning community quota for Burgeo. He received a letter back, and of course the gist of the letter is that they are not thinking along these lines at the present time. So it seems like we've run into a brick wall in relationship to community quota at this given time. And there's a number of meetings coming up that the Newfoundland and Labrador Federation of Municipalities, they're having their annual meeting in Corner Brook starting Thursday afternoon until Saturday. There are 4 councillors going to or 4 people from council going to attend that. Myself and Councillor Dave McDonald and June Escott and the manager Blaine Marks. So we will be attending that conference. There is going to be a council workshop taking place on December the 2nd and 3rd in Corner Brook, and I think there's a couple of councillors will be going to that workshop. And we've been looking at the regulations concerning noise pollution in town, and we've looked at a number of regulations, and meeting on last night that we decided to table these regulations until future meetings. And basically, that was the news of the night, and I hope you will have a good week. So, good night.
On Friday of this week, grade 9 to 12 students took part in Lifelong Connections Day. This Lifelong Connections Day is what was formerly done at the school as Career Day. However, there is now quite a bit of difference between Career Day and Lifelong Connections. Previously in Career Day, administrators from universities and colleges from around and outside of the province came out to make students aware of the programs that their campus offered, as well as tuition costs and living situations in their area. Lifelong Connections offers a wide variety of sessions, including universities and colleges, but adds more selections for the students to choose from. Lifelong Connections Day began on Friday at 8:45 in the school gym, with a welcome from the school's principal, Mr. Corey Penny. Students who attended a youth conference earlier this year taught the students how to do a dance that they had learned. And Rebecca Young, along with Tyson Durnford, entertained everyone with a few songs. Members of the TROY team, Tobacco Reduction Strategy by Youth, held a question and answer session concerning smoking issues. Correct answers to questions were awarded with a prize. At 9:30, sessions began. Students were broken up into groups and went to the sessions they were scheduled for. Session A included, what are your odds of winning? Health and addictions counselor Kathy Cutler helped students to increase their knowledge on gambling. Move with the Times was presented by College of the North Atlantic, and students learned about what the school had to offer at its campuses. Be All That You Can Be was presented by the Canadian Armed Forces and showed students a wide array of technical and support trades in land, sea, and air environments. Academy Canada and You informed students on what they had to offer in way of career choices. Catch the Big One taught students how to tie just the right fly to catch the big fish. One of the sessions was called Economics of Staying in School. This was an all-day event. It was presented by Valerie Sims Anderson and Janet Porter. At 10:45, Session B took place. Some sessions were offered again, for example, College of the North Atlantic and the Canadian Armed Forces. There was also the Right School for the Job, which was hosted by CompuCollege School of Business, where students learned about college practical incentive job skills training programs. University Here I Come was put off by Memorial University, and a MUN representative told students about what the university had to offer, including degrees at MUN in St. John's, Sir Wilfrid Grenfell College, and the Marine Institute. Beeswax Candles and Earwax, Yikes, was a session by Sister Gladys Bozak, who talked about and demonstrated a new painless procedure now being used to remove earwax. From 11:45 to 1 p.m., students in the grad class catered lunch to the presenters, while students taking part in the day had their lunch in the gym. During lunch, activities took place which included a newlywed game and Get Connected prize draws. At 1 p.m., Session C got underway. There were 3 two-hour sessions which included Beautify Yourself with a facial makeover held by a Mary Kay trained consultant. Pilates, Creating Strong Minds and Bodies, was a 2-hour session with a warm-up and cool-down exercise along with a full-body workout. Lights, Camera, Action was held at the old BBS studio where students learned how BBS shows were made. Students took part in learning how to use the equipment and doing some filming. In Do You Love to Write a Good Story? If so, students learn how their creative writing style can open doors for them. Dave Cooper from the Pilot shared his knowledge with the group. Sexuality and dating was put up by the public health nurse, who talked about sexuality, dating, birth control, and sexually transmitted infections. Calligraphy, the Heart of Writing Fancy Letters, was presented by Kay Kosser, who showed students many techniques and styles of fancy letter writing and helped students to discover their creative side. Session D then took place from 2 to 3 p.m., where some of the activities from Session C continued. Session D also included From Boot Camp to Cop. Constable Jonathan Moran used dialogue and DVDs to tell students about the process of becoming a police officer. What Are the Odds of Winning continued, as did Sexuality and Dating. The day concluded at 3 p.m. in the school gym with closing remarks. Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
I've been a part of the War and Chant program because I was born with only one hand. They cover the expenses of my arms and all my different devices.
They're there to answer your every question. The services they provide, the financial help, the emotional help, the information. The War Amps has certainly eased the path quite a bit.
When I look at all the things that I've achieved, just because I've practiced and I was confident in myself.
Erica's moving right through life and enjoying it. She loves life.
You have to believe in yourself and you'll achieve your dreams.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of the beginning of construction of the Island Bridge. Let's look back to November the 4th, 1990.
There's stuff.
Oh, I could do it.
Good evening. Welcome to the community events segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Tiffany Syme. The winners of the Burgeo Academy TV Bingo were Juanita Atcher. Congratulations, Juanita. The Monterey Association will host their next scheduled TV Bingo on Wednesday, November the 9th at 7 p.m. One game for $300. Cards will be sold 6 for $5 and are available from any member of Monterey and in most stores around town. Please support Monterey and play TV Bingo. Flu shots have arrived. They will be given each Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. If you have not received a flu shot before, you will need to book an appointment from your family doctor in order to receive it. The flu shots have arrived. They will be given each Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. If you have not received a flu shot before, you will need to book an appointment from your family doctor in order to receive it. The flu shots have arrived. They will be given each Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m. If you have not received a flu shot before, you will need to book an appointment from your family doctor The Faith United Church Sunday School will have a bake sale on November 10th, 2 p.m. at the Christian Education Center. All donations of any kind will be greatly appreciated. Doors open and sale starts at 2 p.m. There will be a door prize to be won. With the Christmas season about to begin, groups and organizations are preparing for their annual sales, beginning with Saturday, November the 12th, LOBI Fall Sale. Sunday, November 13th, Brunettes Flea Market. Saturday, November the 19th, ICW Fall Sale. Saturday, November the 26th, Anglican Church Vestry Christmas Sale. Sunday, November the 27th, Lions Christmas Sale. Thursday, December the 1st, UCW Fall Sale. Friday, December the 16th, UC Projects Committee Chalk Plus Sale. Watch channels 10 and the Church Channel 43 for more details on these events. The Anglican Church is planning a prayer brunch for Saturday, December the 10th from 10 to 12 p.m. We will have more details later. If your group or organization has an upcoming event planned, we will be happy to advertise it for you. Just call the BBS office by Wednesday of each week and have items included in this portion of the broadcast. That includes the community events segment for tonight's broadcast. See you next week.
BBS Playbill. Try your luck on Wednesday by playing Minoraki TV Bingo. Next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on Channel 43, we will have religious revelations from the Anglican Church. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night and God bless.